Hi everyone, Paul ISM. Welcome to part 1 of our Revell 125th Foose FD100 pickup truck. Now, this is part of my Christmas group build over on ISM. Was supposed to start on the 1st December. I made the decision, to start it a bit earlier. I did it for my own reasons. I got other builds I want to do. I want this one out of the way. This will be a nice quick build. So I selfishly moved the day forward. So yes, and I put a vote up. Most people, I think 60-6 voted yes to start it early. I don't remember 60 people taking part in the build, but thank you for your votes anyway. And there's lots of them in progress on ISM Facebook right now. There's loads of them, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic to see them all done. So this is mine. I did a review of this the other day. It looks a great kit. For a Revell kit, it looks really, really nice. You can still get them on Amazon at £21 if you go and have a look. Put in Foose Revell. Do it on your phone. I can't find it on my desktop. Don't know why, but my phone does. Like I say, review there. We're going to have a look, and this is part 1 today. So today, usual process. We're going to get prepped, primed, painted, decaled, washed, and clear coated. So stand by. We've got a bit of work to do. It's a nice easy kit to do. Oh, we've got some bare metal foiling to do as well. So let's jump straight in and let's get cracking. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos will always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. Okay, so as usual, we're starting off with body preparation. So we've got a fluorescent highlighter. I'm going to go through and mark off all the body panels that need prepping, priming, painting, and clearing with the rest of the bodywork. So we're trying to do all this together, so we get the colour match and we save time and do the first job all together, basically. Nothing worse than going through, getting everything prepped and primed and realise you missed a part out. So spend a couple of minutes making yourself familiar with all the instructions, go through, mark all the parts that need colour, and then make sure on assembly how you're going to hold them. So as you can see, the rear deck at the back, we're going to glue that together, paint it all as one piece. You could do it separately, but I can't see any benefit in doing that, so that's the way we're going to do it. So start off our Tamiya cutters, cut off some parts from the sprue, go through, get all those parts off that we highlighted, and then we'll have a look at how things are going to be handled, and then we're going to look for seam lines, anything that needs removing, any flaws in the plastic, and then we can clean it all up. So we've got our ultimate sanders here. We've got a sponge sander right on the front of the roof lid. So we use a sponge so we don't lose the edge of the curve. Just some gentle sanding. Once we're happy we've got rid of the sprue locator point, we come with the side of the buffer and buffer up to a nice smooth finish, and then we flip the buffer around to the polisher, polish it up to nice, clean, fresh plastic. And that's it, and we'll repeat that for all the parts till we've gone round and we're done. Just check, make sure everything's sanded smooth, don't drop it like that, it's always a good way to do things. And just have a good look around, make sure everything's prepped, because preparation's key. The better you prepare this now, the better the finish will look at the end. So just go through and take your time. Now there are all seam lines all over the body. There's a few flaws over the front that need just rectifying, and it's basically just mold marks, really, mold lines. And we go over it with a sponge sander. We've got our grey sponge UMP sander here, and just gently go around. Not a lot of pressure. You don't need a lot of pressure. Just gently removing any seams, any imperfections, and like I say, the more time take prepping, the better the end result will be. Now the wheel arches, they have a nasty seam all the way around them. I found the quickest way to deal with those with the sharp edge of one of our Tamiya craft knives. Go around, remove the most of the plastic, then hit it with the sponge just to clean it up. And you'll find nearly all the wheel arches need doing like this. In fact, the whole bottom of the shell needs doing. Now we've got a couple of parts that need gluing in place. Mainly this is the slam panel, the front. So I'm just lining it up, make sure we've got it the right way round. It's in the right place. So once we're happy, we can hit it with our Tamiya extra thin plastic weld mix. Just hold it for a second. Don't push it. You don't need molten plastic coming through. You just want to hold it so the glue gets a hold of it and glues it all in place properly. There we go. Quick test fit of the bonnet as well. Make sure everything fits in place cleanly. And then the other section that needs putting at the front is this piece behind the front bumpers and the grille. Now, I saw you point out the other day, quite a nasty piece. Like so. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd piece, this one. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing, but I suppose it's functional and part of the truck. So it just slots in place, fits in pretty well. Give it a little bit of pressure at the sides, hit it with Tamiya extra thin, and get it all glued in place, like so. And there we go. Once you're happy, make sure you've got a nice clean seam, well, glue line all the way around. Give it a bit of manipulation in place and just keep going around until you're happy it's all glued in place. Quite a large part, this one, so make sure it is glued in properly. Not stuff you want moving around later on. And then the bonnet or the hood, we've got some bonnet hinges, just need glued in place. Now they do go, they have left and right, so make sure you get them orientated the right way. Refer to the instructions and just keep double checking that you got them the right way around. And there we go, a little bit of extra thin, hold them, make sure they're straight, and then there's quite a nasty seam line on the back of the cab as well, and a couple up near the windows at the back and the front that need some very delicate sanding. So again, just take your time, go around, sand everywhere, make sure you get everywhere cleaned up, put it down, come back 5 minutes later, have another look, and I almost guarantee you'll spot somewhere else that needs doing. I did it several times on this. While it's a decent kit, there are some pretty nasty seams that need cleaning up. Like so. There we go. And then test fitting the bed on the back. Now, it fits great on one side, a little bit iffy on the other. I'll be interested to see if other people who've got the kit have the same problem, but I thought it was best to paint this all as one unit. And that's what I decided to do. Now, the bed at the back, it comes with a decal with the kit. I've got a nice piece of self-adhesive wood veneer, which I'll show in the next part. We'll actually go back in time in the next video because we'll go back to just in a minute where I'm measuring it all. But I'm not going to show it in this video because it doesn't really have any relevance at all. Once you're happy all the seam lines are cleaned up and the body is cleaned up as much as you possibly can, we're coming in with a sponge sander. You can use Tamiya, whatever you've got. Just a flat, smooth sander. You can use one of our grey sponge sanders. This is just a sander we were hoping to stock at some point, but doesn't look like we will be now. And all we're going to do is go around and key all the body. Get rid of all that bright, shiny plastic. And just get it all keyed for primer. Like so. And just take your time, go around. A lot of people will disagree that this is a step needed. I always think it is. I think it keys the plastic for primer. It gets rid of any fingerprints and any marks, glue marks off the body. So whether you're using lacquer, water-based primer, I think it's an important step to do. I believe full-size body shops do it for cars, so it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. And it keys all the plastic and gets it all nice and clean as well. So it'll remove fingerprints, glue marks, so why not do it? I've got some Ultimate Airbrush Cleaner on a clean bit of kitchen paper. And we're going to go all around the body shell and clean it all up. And again, this will remove any residue, fingerprints, anything on there that may interfere or react with the paint. And again, just a step worth doing. I've been doing this for a long, long time. Our airbrush cleaner is absolutely perfect for doing this. And I never get any reactions on the paint. It's always nice and clean. Make sure when you've done this step, though, you don't come in and start handling it, because that's one of the worst things you can do. You put the fingerprints back. So once you've got them mounted like we have here, that's the time to do the airbrush cleaner trick. So I've got all these parts mounted on old airbrush primer, UMP primer bottles, using some 3N sticky pads, which work absolutely fantastic. They're stuck on. We've got a bit of cardboard at the bottom to give them a bit of rigidity. And yeah, I found this works really well. And then the toothbrush in there to get any dust out the panel lines. The final step, we're ready to go. Now, I would much prefer to mount this on the Tamiya paint stand, but just not really possible on this to get a secure connection. I did try it and then thought this is probably the best way to do. And it worked well in the end, as you'll see near the end of the video. Again, an important step, using old toothbrushes as a toothbrush for my little boys from years ago. Get rid of any dust. And speaking of dust, once you run our spray booth over primer, we've got our Tamiya anti-static brush. We just go around each part, give it a quick dust over, and then we've got some Tamiya grey fine surface primer, decanted out the spray can, thinned about 20%, and we're through the 0.35 apex at about 18 psi, and we're going to put 3 light coats on, building up to a wetter coat at the end. So I'll show the first coat very quickly. So just nice thin coat, don't hose this on. Now, I would normally prime in white for the colour we're going to do, but because of the white plastic, I thought it's going to make life a little bit harder. So no, we'll go with grey. It's not a dark grey, the Tamiya fine surface primer, so it's not going to have a detrimental effect to the green. But I just thought it was better because I can just about see it. And yeah, lays down. So 2 or 3 light coats. Well, 2 light coats, and then we'll come at the end with a heavier coat. I have found with the Tamiya spray paints, the spray cans, they do like to go on wetter. So I always try and end them with a slightly wetter coat. That way it self-levels, its filling properties work, and I always find you get a more smooth finish near the end. And there we go. So make sure we get inside this bed as well. Quite tricky. Now I did toy with the idea of doing like a cover for this. I know Dan did that, Dan Scattergood, and it looked really good. But I thought in the end, no, we'll go with the wood effect in the back. It'll look nice. And here we have our final coat. So like I say, we come in wetter at the end. So slower passes, a little bit more paint as well. And we can get it laid down a little bit wetter. And that way, like I say, the self-leveling properties work. And I always find it lays down a smoother coat. With the Tamiya sprays, the spray cans, if you put too thin a coat on, it can dry a little bit rough. Oh, a little bit too much paint there. And that colour cup, are we going to spill it? Yes, we are. There we go. See, should have a lid on as well, shouldn't I? I should know this by now, but no. Still, old habits die hard. We're going to spill more paint again in a second. Get ready. I can see it coming. Yeah, but there we go. But yeah, nice wet coat down the end. Make sure we get all those angles. Plenty of little angles and recesses on this. Quite a tricky little body shell to paint. It's always much easier when the body's in one piece. With this, we've got several components, so just some care required in getting things painted up. As you can see, you've got nice wet coats down there, and we'll just pop those to one side to dry, and we'll leave those overnight before we come back the next day to put some colour down. Now, when it was dried, I gave it a very quick run over with the same pad we used for the body before primer, just to get rid of any high spots or any dust and what have you. And then we come in the next day, 0.3 apex again, 18 psi, and we've got our Gravity Colours Spain. This is Chevy Neptune Green. So I had a lot of trouble picking a colour. I decided on a couple of colours and decided against them. And then I was literally looking at the paint rack, spotted this colour which I picked out for my Chevy Bel Air. And I thought, you know what, it'll look really good in that colour. So let's do this. Now, with any of these automotive base paints, they are going to be quite hot. They all go from different degrees of hotness, and it can vary on the colour as well. So just put nice light thin coats down. Like I say, we're 18 psi. You could go even lower than that if you wanted to. 18 psi works really well. And just build it up nice and slow. That's it. Build it up. Make sure you got those little recesses. Don't be tempted to put it on wet because it will leave a reaction. Trust me, been there and done it. Like I said, the Gravity is one of the more forgivable paints in my opinion. I've been using them for a long time now. The colours are absolutely fantastic. They spray really well. Just absolutely beautiful colours. This colour looks absolutely stunning, which you'll see at the end of the video. So it's a case of just build it up slow. We're not going wet. We're just getting an even coat down. It's going to look a bit patchy to begin with because we're not hosing it on. But I'm just going to show my first coat on this part. So quite a long first coat, but it just shows you how slow and how thin I put this paint down. Again, we've got all the angles, recesses, and we're going to get up inside as well on the A and B pillars, just to get some paint up there. But really putting this on nice and thin. And there we go. Now, on the first coat, because I put it on so thin, I will often class that as the first coat and then immediately start going around again for the second. Because it's gone on so thin, it dries so fast. So I'll then come in and go the opposite way. So as you see on the first coat, we went left to right. On the second coat, we go up and down. So I only tend to do it on this first coat because I put the first one so thin. I'm confident I won't get any reactions. Every other coat after this is just a single coat and we just build it up. But yeah, you'll find some sections you need to come left and right again just because of the way they are. But going in the opposing directions, getting all the panel lines, all the recesses, and make sure everywhere's got a nice even coat. So a little bit long-winded this bit, but I just thought I'd put it down so you can see just how little paint I put down. And this colour does cover really, really well. Some colours can take a while to cover, like red on white can take a little bit of time. This one's going down really well. Whether it's because of the grey primers helped a touch, possibly. Like I say, with a colour like this, I would normally go white. But on this one, I chose grey. And yeah, the colour's coming through well. As you see, it's a little bit patchy, but that will soon be figured out. We're probably going to do 5, 6, maybe 7 light coats. I put a lot of paint down, but in very, very thin coats and just build it up really slowly. So obviously at the same time, after this, we're going to paint the bed. We'll paint the hood, the bonnet, and the firewall bulkhead as well. But I'm just going to show the cab now because those will be all day showing everything else. So like I say, you can just see how thin that paint's going out. It's not going on even remotely wet at all. Just nice and thin. And then once we're happy, put that to one side for 10 minutes. And we'll come back. And if we come back, say, 6 coats later, this is the colour we've got. So as you can see, we're putting on a little bit thicker now. Not too thick, but we're a little bit further away. We're misting it on a little bit more now. But you can see the depth of colour coming through. Absolutely beautiful colour. Really has shone through really well. So it's just a fact of, yeah, build it up slowly. Take your time. And, yeah, build it up. And you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. It takes time. This probably took a good hour to do. So thin coat down, leave for 10 minutes. You know, go to your spray booth, get out your spray booth, wherever. Sit there and wait. Go do something on the computer, whatever. It can take a lot of time to do, but it's time well spent because the finish will come out absolutely beautiful. Like I say, lovely paint, the gravity paint, zero paints. Not a fan of splash as much. Found them really, really hot, and the colour match is going to be a bit off. But out of the automotive based, just take your time. Whereas the likes of LP and Tamiya TS, you can go a little bit heavier. You can really get those on a bit thicker. But with these, just take your time, build it up slow, and you'll have no problems at all. And again, we painted all the other parts as well, while I've been doing the others. You can see at the end, I'm coming through a little bit more quicker, a little bit more confident, because I know I've got the base colour down, and we're literally just misting over that last coat. And there we go. Now, with that dried overnight, the next day we're here with some bare metal foil. We've got the chrome, silver, and we're going to bare metal foil our windows, the front and rear window. Now, I'm not going to show this in depth. I could probably do making a standalone video on this, which I'll probably do at some point. But there's only 2 areas to do on this. They are very, very tricky to do. The front's probably easier than the back. The back's got no real demarcation to the window, so it's quite hard to do. So yeah, just take your time. Pop it on. Burnish it down with your finger. Make sure you got it everywhere you want it to. I've got one of my very, very fine cotton buds here that I bought a few weeks back. Really fine, nice soft edge. I'm just going to burnish it down. You can also take a cocktail stick and round off the end and just burnish it all down. Get it into the line, and this is the line we want to cut it to. So don't apply a lot of force, but just burnish it all down, like so. And we'll do the window in 4 pieces. Now, you could do it in 1. You could do a large piece and cut out the middle. I always found it's a little bit of a waste, so I like to do a single like this. Once you've got the edges burnished down, get a nice clean cotton bud and burnish the whole thing down there. Like so. And then when you're happy, brand new knife blade in your knife. Follow the line you burnished into, nice and gentle. There we go. And careful around the edges. Like I say, the demarcation on this window on the back is not the best. So just take your time and just cut nice and carefully. Once you're happy you cut through, you can peel off the edge. It will rip across the back, so just be careful. But obviously, we're going straight across, and then we can cut the curve in here. Like I say, I've said this 3 times now, but I'm going to make this point. For those building this, be very careful It's very, very soft on the back, so you're going to kind of have to guess where the window is in places. So just really take your time here. It's very difficult. It'd be a lot easier to spray because you could mask it easier. Yeah, just take your time and you'll be all good. So we need to repeat that 4 times now. Bottom piece, side pieces, and as you can see, just burnishing the edges down there with my finger as well. Having a quick look, am I happy with that? Have a quick look at every piece, because the next piece will overlap it. So if you're going to take the first bit off, you're going to have to undo all your work. So have a look, make sure you're happy. For me, I'm quite happy with that, so we can continue and do the rest. With the front done as well, there are window wipers to do at the bottom as well. You may find it easier to do those separately, because I did. Like I say, I'll probably make a standalone video on doing this. I'm not an expert. I've watched videos on YouTube on how to do it. There's plenty out there already, but maybe I'll do one at some point in the future when I've got an American car to do, and there's a lot to do on it. I'll show it. Not the easy to show on this one. Really nice dark colour like a black or a red, because the chrome kind of blends in with the green a little bit. And as you can see, we can patch it as well. If you make a mistake, as I've done on the bottom there, you can patch it with another piece. Once you get it in place and blend it all down, it covers really, really well. And there we go. Again, push it down, burnish it down with wherever you've got your cocktail stick, and then rub it all down with your cotton bud. And then use your finger underneath to blend it round. And there we go. Happy with that, that's looking good. So just the front and the back window on this one. Front one's not too bad to do. A little bit tricky in places. The back one's a bit of a pig. So just take your time there. And don't be afraid of taking it back off and redoing it. It's the beauty of bare metal foil. Although you waste a little bit, you can always redo it. And there we go. Quick test fit. It's looking good. Bonnet looks good. Bare metal foil looks good. The colour is absolutely superb. Very, very happy with that. Bonnet fits really, really well. And yeah, happy with this. It's looking really, really nice. Right then, so decals. Only real decal on this is on the back. So we popped it in place, usual way. We hit it with the normal, the strong, and then we're coming in right at the very end with a little bit of extra strong. And the reason I'm doing this is it's a one big decal. It's embossed, raised lettering on the back. And where the decal sat on top, there's quite a bit of carrier film. So I'm just popping it on with the extra strong, dabbing it down with the water pen to push out any moisture under the decal. And that's it. It's set in place. Absolutely perfect. No problem at all. There we go. Right, so we're in now with a Tamiya panel line wash. We've got some black and grey, and we're going to make up a dark grey. Use this colour more and more. Now, black can be a bit dark sometimes, unless it's a really dark colour. I think black can be a little bit too much. So mixing it with the grey, I mix a little bit too much. I'm on a bit of a black back. To give a nice dark grey colour has been working really well lately. We're going to do exactly the same on this. And there's literally only the door panel lines to do. There's no other panel lines on the kit. There's loads of places you could put a wash, but I looked at it and thought it'd probably look a bit odd. So I decided on just doing it this way. And yeah, just pop it in, like a per reaction, carry it. Like so. Let it dry for half an hour, and we can wipe off. So repeat that for both sides, and that's it on the wash. And here we go, a little bit of Santador Odorless Mineral Spirits on a cotton bud. I'm going to just go around and gently remove it. Now be careful over the bare metal foil. It's quite easy to grab it and pull it off. So be very careful with that, especially when using the tissue paper here. The bare metal foil, I meant to say as well, is varied in quality for quite some time as well. I've had a few parts that won't stick as well. But yeah, yeah, it varies in quality. So if you get a bit that doesn't stick, try another piece. Just keep going down the sheet until you find a bit that sticks, basically. So, as I mentioned earlier, I've got a nice piece of 3M sticky-backed wood veneer. I used this many, many moons ago on an aircraft floor, and it's been sat in my parts box for some time, and I think it's perfect for this. So, I'm going to have a template out of A4 paper, so some quick measurements. Transfer that to A4, trim it so we get it to fit roughly, and then we'll transfer that over to the wood veneer. So, many different ways you could do this. You could do it with a metal base, you could use wood veneer, you could use the decal, you can make a cover. So yeah, I know Tim tried to do this a while back with some, I think he used some small planks of wood. I think he used some sort of clear coat or varnish on them, and sadly it warped them and ruined it. So it was a real shame to see that. So, as I say, we cut the template out, cut it to size, and we're just going to measure it up and yeah, get it in there. Double check it. We need a little bit of trimming. We can push it down, have a look, trim it. And once we're happy with that size, we can cut it off and transfer it over to our veneer. So as we have a look, we can just use our pencil, transfer it over like so. And then we use our Alpha roller cutter to trim it with our metal ruler as well. So quite an easy way of doing it. I've seen the decal used. The decal doesn't look too bad. If I was going to use the decal, I'd use it before 2K. So we got it nice and glossy. But for this one, I'm just going to do it this way. As you can see, a couple of runs over the Alpha cutter. Cut through the wood perfectly fine. And then it's going to need a little bit of trimming to get it fit. But pretty much from the template, it looked really, really good. So there we go. A little bit of trimming needed, but we'll get there. Now on to 2K. Now safety warning, 2K is not nice stuff. You're basically spraying an airborne super glue of sorts. So make sure you've got a good respirator. As you can see, I've got a very, very good Scott respirator here with a non-organic filter. Probably one of the best respirators I could get without going air fed, so that's why I bought it. Not cheap at all, cost me about £150 all in, but works really well. Make sure you got all your skin covered, make sure you got your eyes covered, good ventilation, a good spray booth. Don't be doing this around your family, and certainly don't be doing it with none of this safety equipment. Very important with 2K. Not a lot of people mention this when they show it being used. It is nasty, nasty stuff. It is not a nice chemical at all. So make sure you follow these safety precautions, and if you're in any doubt at all, don't use it. It's as simple as that. So with the safety precautions out the way, as you can see, I am double gloved on one hand. I've got a sleeve on one arm. I should have one on the other, and that's something I will start to rectify. Practice what you preach. But I've got my respirator on, my boots on, the windows open, a crack, and I'm in my own modelling cave out the way. So I've got some gravity clear here. Now, I wasn't going to mix 6mm, but went with 9 because it was the end of the bottle. Thought I might as well use it, and I got exactly 9mm, so absolutely perfect. So that's the end of that bottle gone. So we'll mix 9mm of the clear with 3mm of the hardener. I'm going to show this in real time for those of you using it. Maybe you've not used it before, you can watch it in real time and see how it's done. So yeah, it's a 3:1:1. So with 9mm of clear, we want 3mm of hardener. So we go 2mm in the first one because it's an easier mark on pipette to pick up. Make sure the pipette's completely empty. And then we'll grab the other 1mm afterwards as well, like so. There we go. So yeah, there we are. Put the lid back on your activator and put that to one side out of the way. And then with the pipette we use to grab the activator, we'll mix the mixture and get the chemical reaction started. Very important to do this at this stage. You've got to mix it now, get the catalyst to work. Give it a good mix up. And once you've mixed it up, throw that pipette away. Do not use that again. Don't be using that to pick up your thinner because you contaminate your thinner with the activator. So with a fresh pipette, we grab the thinner. Bear with me. I've also wetted the spray booth as well, as you can see. We put some clean paper towel down, brand new filter, gave it all a hoover. The room's been hoovered, brand new filter in, wiped it all down in a vain attempt to get rid of any dust. And then we've wet the surface as well. And the theory is any wet dust that lands in the wet will stay there and not go anywhere. So 3mm of thinner added as well, and with the same pipette, we mix that. Now you'll find the thinner makes the mixture go a little bit cloudy. Just give it a good stir and it'll go back to being clear again. Like so. And again, make sure the pipette's empty, everything's wiped off, and again, throw the pipette away. Don't reuse the pipette because you've had it in the mixture. And then we've got our Apex airbrush ready to go. So you're going to use the 0.35 Apex. We're going to filter the 2K first. I forgot about this bit. So we'll filter a bit, spilt a little bit of 2K. which is going to bite us right in the arse at the end, because we're going to run out at the end and have to mix a little bit, and that little bit of spilled will probably have done it. So we've got our anti-static brush again. I'm jumping the gun by talking about the airbrush. We'll talk about that in a second. And we'll just go around and gently brush off any dust, any residue, and hopefully the anti-static properties, if they work, will stop any dust landing. So we've got our 0.35 apex. We're about 18 psi. We've lowered the pressure this time as well. We're just trying something a little bit different. We're going to put the coat on a little bit thinner. I've noticed lately my 2K has not been as good. I've commented it a couple of times, and I think I've gotten to a bad habit of putting it on a little bit too quick. So we're coming back with a 0.35 apex, lower pressure than normal, and we're going to put on a lighter tack coat than normal as well. Now I'm going to show the whole process on each coat, only on the cab. We're going to paint the hood, bonnet, and the rear cab at the same time. But I'm only going to show the cab, otherwise, like I say, we'll be here all day doing this section. So we're just going to apply a nice tack coat evenly all round, making sure we get everywhere covered. And all the tack coat is for is to make a nice sticky coat in preparation for the wetter coats to come. It helps the wetter coat stick and reduces the risk of runs as well. So we just apply these nice and slowly and build up. We have a nice even coat all around. So as you can see, we're not putting a lot down at all. I know we go a little bit heavier here, but I thought we'd go a little bit lighter, and let's see what we get. Now, Alan Parker uses a 0.2 mil apex for this, and I can see the reason for doing that, because you will get lighter coat. So maybe that's something I'll try at a later date, but for now, this has worked pretty well today. As you'll see at the end, we've got a really nice clear coat, and it doesn't look too thick. That's a problem I've had lately. It's been looking a little bit too thick. I've been putting it on a little bit too quick, a little bit too thick, and it's had a detrimental effect on the clear coat that I've not been happy with for a while now. So it just shows you bad habits can creep in, and I think a lot of it is trying to rush to reduce the risk of dust, which is a pain in the backside, but it's inevitable. And the dust, most of the time you can polish it out, so I think that's the way to look at it. Rather than rushing the 2K and making it look a bit thick, just take your time a bit and just rely on the fact you can polish out any imperfections later on. As you can see, we've got a nice even coat. It's not gone too thick at all, but it will have left a nice tacky coat. We'll put that to one side, put that under cover straight away, and we'll work on the other parts. And then 10 minutes later, we'll come back for a slightly wetter coat. So as you'll see here now, we're going to go a little bit slower and a little bit heavier. So we're not hosing it on. We're not trying to get a completely smooth, clear coat on this, but we're just trying to get a slightly wetter coat. As you can see, it is there, but it does have imperfections in it. It's not completely smooth. So that's what we're going to do here. We're just going to build it up nice and slow. Again, I'm going to show the whole process on the cab, because again, if there's people out there new to this, you may find it useful to see it all in real time. So it's going to go around, and all we want to do now is the same as the tack coat, the way we made sure it was all a nice even coat all around. We want to make sure this is a nice even wettish coat all around. So just take your time, build it up. Make sure you're getting all those little recesses and angles. Anywhere you think should be cleared. So make sure you get the bottom as well. Very easy to forget the bottom. You'll come back later on and think, oh, it's not very glossy. So make sure you get underneath where the sills will be, essentially. And just build it up nice and slow. Like I say, we're not going for a full dripping wet look here. We're just getting down a decent wet coat. That'll then off gas for another 10 minutes. It'll self-level a bit, and then we come in with our third coat. And what we're left with the third coat will be how it looks at the end. So again, once this part's done, straight under cover, we get the other parts out and do the truck bed and the bonnet as well. Wait 10 minutes, and then we'll come back for our third coat. So 10 minutes later, here we come. Whenever you're lifting it out of the box, make sure you don't touch the box on it, because it will ruin your hard work. So we've got a decent wettish looking coat now. I'm just going to come in now and apply our third coat. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to try and get that perfect wet coat straight away. We're going to put a thinnish coat on and work our way all the way around. leave for a couple of minutes, come back and have a look, and if it needs a little bit more, we'll add it. So we're trying to keep the 2K as thin as possible, whereas normally now I'm just trying to get a nice wet coat down as quick as possible. Like I said, the reason I do that is to reduce the risk of dust, but that can often be detrimental to the finish. So I think this is the way to go now. We just rely on polishing out the dust and just get ourselves a nice clear coat down. So like I say, we're getting a wet coat down, but we're going to put it back under cover, work on the other bits, and then have a look at it. If it needs another quick go over, we can. But as you can see, I'm not putting a huge amount of 2K down, certainly not as much as normal. And I think at the end, you'll agree, it's give us a much better, thinner finish. Now, sadly, we do get some dust. It's inevitable. 2K is so sticky, it just attracts everything. No matter what precautions you take, I always end up with dust. But we can polish that out, and we'll make the best of it as we can at the end. Colours really popping now. That Neptune green looking absolutely beautiful. As you can see, we painted the other part as well. So as you can see, we didn't paint inside the bed, and we're not going to 2K inside the bed either because we've got our wood to go in there. But this part here on the back is pretty tricky to do. We've got all different angles, different parts to do, so on and so forth. So you just need to really take your time and just pay attention to what you're doing. Don't hose the paint on too much, you'll end up with runs. And just keep working around. Like I say, you can put a coat down, put it back under cover for 5 minutes, bring it back out, have a look. You can always put another coat on. There's nothing stopping you doing that. I believe you can add another coat up to 30 minutes. So no problem there. But as always, what you're left with at the end is basically what it will look like when it's dry. It will self-level to a degree a little bit, but you want it looking nice and glossy when you're done. So just take your time, have a good look round, and make sure it's all done. Now, sadly, like I say, on the very last coat, we do run out of 2K and have to remix a little bit. If I hadn't spilled that little bit, I more than likely would have had enough. It was literally just one little pass I needed, and I had to go and mix another 3 mil of clear, 1 mil of hardener, 1 mil of thinner. So a bit of a waste, but hey ho, that's what you get for spilling stuff. And last of all, our bonnet as well. Like I say, colours looking absolutely beautiful now it's cleared. It's funny how clear coat can bring a colour alive, but this is looking absolutely beautiful now. Really happy I chose this colour. We've got so many builds of this on the Facebook page in the group build. We're going to see a whole rainbow of colours. So we're going to get some very interesting builds off this from everyone's personal taste. Right then, quick check. So we've tidied up, but we haven't put everything away. And I'm just having one final inspection before I put a cover on it and leave it for a few hours to dry. And that's looking absolutely beautiful. Like I say, a little bit of dust here and there, but the 2K is not too thick. We've got an absolutely perfect 2K finish. I'm just having a quick final inspection. And it's all looking good. Just checking underneath. Underneath, we'll paint all the wheel arches black and underneath the bed black as well. It's too much faffing around trying to spray underneath as well. So I'm never going to be that bothered, to be honest. And then the bonnet as well, looking great as well. Come out really well. Very happy with that. And then cover it all up. And leave that for as long as you possibly can. So it's supposedly dust dry in an hour. So if something lands on it like dust, it'll blow it back off. It's just dry in 24 and fully cured in 48 to 72 hours. But here we are a couple of hours later. As you can see, the clear looks good. We have some crap in the roof. Not much you can do about that, but we'll polish that out as good as we can later on. But the clear coat doesn't look too thick. It's nice and glossy. It's much better being applied like this. So yeah, I think this is the way we'll stick with it. We may try Alan's trick using a smaller needle. We'll see how that goes. But happy how the 2K's gone. The bare metal 4 looks alright as well. The colour looks absolutely beautiful. It really does pop. Especially when you see it in the last picture at the end in my display case. And like I said, we've got a bit of polishing to do. But I think once we get it all polished up, it's going to look absolutely beautiful. And then the final picture in the display case. Absolutely stunning colour. Really happy with that. And it's come out really well. So there we go. Let's go back to me and have a little bit of a chat. Okay then, so there we go. Trademark saying. that's come out well. I'm happy with that. Really happy with that colour. I was really on the fence over the colour for so long. And when I finally picked the colour, I found that Alan had picked a similar colour, and I was like, oh no. And then I remembered Alan saying he picked that colour, and they were so close. I was like, I can't do that now. I'll have to pick a different colour. And like I said, scanning the Gravity colours, which I've got a good collection of, I spotted that Neptune green, and I bought it for the Chevy Bel Air reviewed a while back. And I thought, you know what, it'll look good in that colour. And it's up there now, look, you can see it. It looks absolutely beautiful, it really does. So, yes, there we go. There's part one out the way. Happy how that's turned out. Changed the 2K process a little bit, and it seems to work a little bit better. It just shows how nonchalant and blasé, some fancy words for me, you can get in the process, and it's worthwhile taking a step back every now and then, reassessing things. And I may definitely try Alan's 0.2mm needle, because I can see the benefit of that in a way. So maybe we'll try that at a later date, or we might stick with the 0.35. We'll see. We'll play that one by ear and see how it goes. So there we go. I'll be back for part two of this very soon. I've still got a Lamborghini to finish off. But I think I might get part two of this out of the way first, and then we get back to that. Get the Lambo finished, get this finished, and we can jump straight in with that McLaren, which I'm actually looking forward to doing now. And I think it'll be quite an interesting build for the channel. So there we go. As always, if you'd like to support the channel, there's links in the description down below. There's a Patreon me link, a PayPal me link, and a Buy Me a Coffee link. Any support is greatly appreciated. There's also loads of other links as well for all the products I use in my videos. ISM Facebook page and forum, umpretail.com. You can get a lot of products I use in my videos. My Paul ISM Modern page, where all my personal and modern work is shared. Live Dimension page, the Off Air Hangout group, and let me have a think. There's another one. What is it? What's the other one? Off Air Hangout group. There's three, isn't there? I've got lost here now. Should I leave this in or edit this out? We'll leave it in. What's the third one? ISM. Live the Bench. I don't know. I've forgotten. Let me know in the comments down below. I've had a brain fart. I forgot what the end of it is. Well, if you got this far, you've seen a little bit of a blooper. I've left it in because I completely forgot what the thing is I say every video. But anyway, it's there. So enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do appreciate all the comments as well. So enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.